Hi, it's James Harrison. I'm back with Thursday Thoughts, and I guess in honor of the passing of Eddie Van Halen, I'm going to talk about his brother Alex Van Halen today, who was definitely an influence at some point. So I was actually turned on to Van Halen by a friend who had it playing, and I had heard of them but wasn't familiar with it. And we were down at a lake outside of Murray called Kent Lake Park, and playing frisbee with drumheads of all things. And the album Van Halen 1 was playing, and I had heard, like, I think You Really Got Me on the radio or something like that. But hearing it with Eruption and the drum mix and all the tunes that were popular off that album, eventually the Jamie's Crying and everything, it was just a different type of rock that I had heard. And to me, for as much as Eddie Van Halen had that edge to his guitar, Alex had that edge to his drum sound. It was definitely a unique drum sound back then. His snare had a little bit of a ring to it and was pretty high compared to most of the tunings going on then. And his cymbals were very bright, and he played a lot of bell on the ride, and in kind of unique places sometimes, and even would ride. Well, of course I didn't know exactly what he had at the time. I believe he was playing the Paiste cymbals, but he would often just crash like a ride cymbal, like this big wash of sound. And this is way before the Dave Grohls and stuff of the grunge era that came in and did a lot of that. A lot of the ride cymbals were very metallic and pingy during the 80s to cut through. But Alex had this thing where he would just wail on either a large crash or whatever. It was just a different wall of sound. And I wasn't super thrilled with Van Halen 2 compared to Van Halen 1. And the albums that followed were, definitely has some good stuff by Alex. We've got the double bass a little bit in there with the shuffling and stuff like that you obviously later heard on Hot for Teacher, although it appeared on many albums before that, at least the shuffle part of it. But the thing for me that was unique about Alex is he always took a left turn from what you think you would normally do as a drummer. He would do something a little different. Maybe fill a little bit different, maybe put a kick in a weird place, or come out of a fill differently, or something like that. It was always seemed like it was just a little bit different than the normal drummer, or the normal, what you would expect if you were playing it maybe. And that was kind of to me, his gift was he just kind of took something and changed it a little bit and kind of took a left turn from the norm. His bass drums had a clicky sound to them, and I'm talking even before the electronic sound. He kind of had that sound in his, he had a high tom sound on some things and a very low sound on other things. And but to me, a lot of people will probably argue this, because Van Halen was definitely more of an edgy rock band prior to the departure of David Lee Roth. But really, with the 1984 album and Eddie getting more into the keyboard sound, it really changed the sound of the band, even more so than changing and going with Sammy Hagar as a singer. The music changed drastically on 1984. It's a great album. The drum sound on that album is tremendous, and some great grooves by Alex. Obviously, Hot for Teacher is amazing. The things that he does on the tune Jump alone, a basic tune, but he does some little quirky things in there that make it kind of difficult, believe it or not. And Panama has the great driving tom thing in the beginning of it, and Top Jimmy is driving, and Drop Dead Legs is this really slow, fat groove. And to me, it was that album there, and then from there on into the 5150 album, that Alex really started grooving and becoming much more musical in the drumming. I think in the 5150, again, his sound became more and more signature in a lot of ways. And between that one and the OU812, am I saying that right? OU812. I might be confusing that with the name of the Yes album. Sorry about that. But there was a tune on that one called "Feels So Good," and it was, of course, a like a sequence bass keyboard thing. And Alex did this thing on the hi-hat, not just a typical opening. Had this great groove, but instead of doing an opening, he was opening it but hitting the bell. And it created another unique thing. And to me, my favorite song that he plays, believe it or not, is Finish What You Started. That entire intro is not patterned. And it was a nightmare to try to learn that song because you're like, you would think every 4 bars or something would come around again, and it didn't. It's just so unique. And so to me, that's the Alex Van Halen I like. For me, Van Halen, you know, that era up to the album with Black and Blue, OU812 or OU125, whatever it's called, is great. The live albums have a lot of energy and stuff like that. Of course, a lot of the times you don't hear him play the same things that he played on the recordings. Balance was pretty good, but I felt like from that point on, they kind of dropped off, and I know they had Gary Sharon for a little while, and I honestly never heard that album. And then after that, it seemed like, you know, they did packages and things like that, but they always will be trendsetters. And Alex, again, came along and just had a unique style where, to me, he took that left turn. So it wasn't just straight ahead nothing or, you know, mindless playing in any way. It had a drive to it, had a unique sound to it, and he always did something a little different than what you would expect. But that middle era, when from 1984 through that OU812 album, where he and Sammy Hagar came on board, and even though the band got more keyboard oriented, Alex's playing, to me, got very groove oriented and very hip. So he's definitely an influence of mine. And in 2012, I did a drumming influence every day. I posted something about that on Facebook. Now, I'm not going to, you know, I don't know if I'll eventually talk about all those drummers or not, but Alex Van Halen was definitely one of those. And, you know, if you don't really think that Alex is done some pretty cool things, try to learn some of the songs that they've done, and you'll find there's that little twist that makes that song unique. So rest in peace to Eddie Van Halen. My condolences to the Van Halen family in any way, shape, or form. I did get to meet Alex at PASIC one year, and he was hammered. And he's a much bigger guy than I thought, pretty tall. And at the time, PASIC in the back of the program had an autograph page, and I had all these autographs all over: Steve Smith, Jeff Porcaro, Peter Erskine, Ed Thigpen, just, you know, drummers everywhere, all over it. And I go up to Alex and say, "Can I have your autograph?" And he just grabs this thing and goes all the way across, over top of everybody's autographs and everything, and it says Alex Van Halen. He takes across the entire page, which was funny. Now it's funny now and everything. I still got that page tucked away, but at the time I was just like, because he wrote over top of everybody else's name and everything. But again, you know, one of the biggest rock stars in the world, and definitely unique. And I'm glad I grew up in the era to get to experience that as they were growing too. So my tribute to Alex Van Halen, my condolences. Rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen.